Let's take a look at what's making headlines in the newspapers now. And we start with the Business Day. And their lead story this morning, Mboweni Kganyago quell Magashule storm. Finance Minister calls comments on the Reserve Bank a danger to South Africa's reputation among investors. Now, custodians of South Africa's economy were scrambling on Wednesday to limit the fallout from ANC statements, which Finance Minister Mboweni called reckless and a danger to the country's reputation among investors. And this, of course, is seen as a barely disguised rebuke of ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule. And Mboweni went on to say it was painful to see efforts to stabilize the country's finances being undermined. Another story on the front page there, and I suppose this is a good one. Sibanye cuts fewer jobs and warns of loss at gold units. Sibanye Stillwater has cut nearly half the number of jobs it warned the market in February to expect, but it was not enough to soothe union leaders in the ailing sector, which has been bleeding jobs in recent years. And just at the bottom there, medical device industry opposes Discovery Health's mooted fees. The South Africa's biggest medical scheme administrator, Discovery Health, they plan to introduce hefty fees to assess the effectiveness of medical devices such as glucose monitors, drawing sharp criticism from a supplier body group that has warned its members that they would be forced to pass on the cost of this to patients. All right, we move on to the Citizen now. And the Citizen this morning also leading with that Reserve Bank story. And the headline there reads, the ANC's bitter bank battle, and goes on to say the ANC's factional war has moved to the South African Reserve Bank, provoking Finance Minister Mboweni to wade in angrily to defend the institution. And also union defends assault nurse. Unions jumped to the defense as she was implicated in an incident in which a 76-year-old patient was tied to a bench at a hospital. So some of the stories on the front page of today's Citizen. Let's take a look now at the Sowetan. And what they're leading with is, of course, also a picture of that battle within, or rather around, the Reserve Bank. Mboweni Kganyago fight back. Ace is Aish for the Rand. That's what it reads there on that front page. And then a woman taxi boss accused of killing her driver. The father of 3 dies after a severe beating left him brain dead. And those are some of the stories there. Also, Motsepe files a lawsuit over Botswana coup claims. Now, this is magnate Patrice Motsepe, who is suing one of the local rags, one of the papers in Botswana, over some allegations that they published, accusing him of meddling in that country's affairs by backing some politicians financially. So that is the front page of the Sowetan. And moving on to the Star. The Star also going with the Patrice Motsepe story. Mining magnate takes on Botswana paper over article. Billionaire businessman Patrice Motsepe has filed a lawsuit against Botswana newspaper Sunday Standard over damning claims that he smuggled 22 million rand to influence succession politics of the diamond-rich country. So they outline those issues there, and also a picture there of Minister Senzo Mchunu going ahead with the government's intention to trim the public service. Public sector union warns though about job cuts, and the public sector unions have vowed to revolt against government's plan to trim the public sector, claiming that the planned action would likely benefit international ratings agencies instead of the government. So at the bottom there, ANC Reserve Bank squabble intensifies, and that story, of course, we will also engage in with Dr. Anthea Jeffrey of the Institute for Race Relations, as well as Alex Mashilo of the South African Communist Party, and that's coming up. And that concludes what's making headlines in the newspapers this morning. We're going to take a break, and after that, we'll come back and engage in that discussion about the Reserve Bank and its mandate. And we've also asked you that question. Tell us what your views are. Should the mandate be changed or expanded? What are your views and why? At Morning Live SABC, hashtag Morning Live is where you can send us those answers. And stay with us. We'll engage in that conversation after this break.